I, 22F, need to give some background first. My boyfriend Jacob, 23M, and I met last October at a Halloween party hosted by our mutual friend Chris. I wasn't planning to go, but my best friend Amy convinced me. I remember Jacob was dressed as Spider-Man, and we ended up talking all night about everything from our favorite movies to our dream travel destinations. He asked for my number at the end of the night, and we went on our first date 3 days later. Everything moved pretty quickly after that. We clicked instantly. Jacob was different from guys I'd dated before. He was attentive, remembered little details about things I mentioned, and always made time for me despite his busy schedule at his engineering firm. By December, we were officially dating, and by January, we were practically living together at his apartment. Jacob has a tight-knit friend group from college that he's known for about 5 years. There's Chris, who introduced us, Mike, Tom, Sarah, and a few others. Sarah was always around, but Jacob assured me they were just good friends. They met in their freshman year when they were paired up for a project. According to Jacob, Sarah helped him through a rough patch when his dad passed away during their second year of college. I never felt threatened by their friendship because Jacob was always open about their hangouts and often invited me along. Things were perfect until February. Jacob went to a party at Sarah's house to celebrate her promotion. I couldn't go because I had a deadline at work. I'm a graphic designer and had a big project due. Jacob said he'd probably crash at Chris's place since it was closer to Sarah's apartment. I didn't think anything of it. He'd done this before when hanging out with his friends. 2 days later, Jacob came to my apartment looking terrible. He hadn't answered my texts all day, which wasn't like him. He sat me down and confessed that he'd slept with Sarah that night. He said they both got really drunk, started talking about old times, and one thing led to another. He swore it meant nothing and that he regretted it immediately. I was devastated. I remember sitting there, trying to process what he was saying while he cried and begged for forgiveness. He kept saying he'd do anything to fix it. He offered to cut contact with Sarah completely, to move to a different city, anything I wanted. I asked for some time to think. Those next few days were awful. I barely ate or slept. Amy came over and stayed with me, bringing ice cream and listening to me cry. My sister Rachel drove 3 hours just to be with me. She went through something similar with her ex-husband and warned me that cheaters rarely change. Jacob's mom Linda found out somehow. I think Chris told her. She showed up at my apartment with homemade lasagna and told me how disappointed she was in Jacob. She shared that Jacob's dad had cheated on her early in their marriage, and she'd always raised Jacob to understand how devastating infidelity is. She said she'd support whatever decision I made. After a week of thinking, I decided to give Jacob another chance. He seemed genuinely remorseful and had already taken steps to prove he was serious about fixing things. He cut contact with Sarah and that entire friend group except for Chris. He started being more transparent with his phone and social media. He even suggested couples counseling, though we decided to try working through it ourselves first. The past 4 months have been okay. We've had good days where everything feels normal again, and bad days where I can't stop thinking about what happened. Jacob has been patient with my trust issues and always reassures me when I'm feeling insecure. But last week, everything changed. Jacob started talking about missing his friends. He said while he understands why he had to cut contact, 5 years of friendship is too valuable to throw away over one drunken mistake. He wants to reconnect with Sarah and the group, saying he feels isolated and misses having people to talk to about shared experiences. I tried explaining how his request makes me feel. It's not just about trust, it's about respect. Sarah isn't some random person he hooked up with. She was his close friend who he chose to betray me with. Every time I think about them hanging out again, I feel sick to my stomach. Jacob says I'm being unreasonable. He argues that if I truly trust him and want our relationship to work, I should be okay with him having his friends back. He keeps bringing up their history, how Sarah helped him through his dad's death, how their friend group got him through depression in college, how they've all been there for each other through major life events. Amy thinks Jacob is manipulating me. She says he's using guilt to make me question my perfectly reasonable boundary. Rachel says this is exactly how it started with her ex, small requests that slowly eroded her boundaries until she was accepting things she never thought she would. Linda called me yesterday after Jacob told her about wanting to reconnect with Sarah. She thinks it's inappropriate and disrespectful to me. She reminded me that I'm allowed to have boundaries and that Jacob's actions have consequences. This morning, Jacob told me he's going to a group dinner this weekend where Sarah will be present. He didn't ask my permission, he informed me it was happening. He said he can't let me control who he's friends with and that I need to get over my insecurities if I want our relationship to last. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Am I really being controlling? Should I just accept that they're going to be friends again? I love Jacob, But I don't know if I can handle watching him rebuild a friendship with someone he cheated on me with. Every time he brings it up, I feel like he's choosing their friendship over my feelings. I need advice. Am I wrong for not wanting him to reconnect with Sarah? Should I give him an ultimatum? Or should I just end things now before it gets worse? Update 1: Everything has fallen apart since my last post. Jacob went ahead and attended the group dinner I mentioned. He said it was just catching up with old friends, but things have spiraled since then. I discovered through Instagram that they'd been hanging out almost every day. There are pictures of them at parties, group dinners, and even a weekend beach trip I knew nothing about. Jacob kept saying they were just casual group hangouts and that I was overthinking things. But yesterday, something happened that changed everything. Amy's cousin Emma works at this small cafe near Sarah's apartment complex. Emma texted Amy saying she saw Jacob and Sarah having lunch together on Tuesday, just the two of them. They were there for nearly 3 hours. Emma said they seemed pretty cozy, with Sarah touching Jacob's arm a lot and Jacob wiping food off her face at one point. When I confronted Jacob about it, he exploded. He accused me of spying on him and setting people to watch his movements. After yelling for about 10 minutes, he finally admitted that yes, he's been meeting Sarah alone. According to him, they're just rebuilding their friendship and I'm being paranoid for no reason. His behavior has completely changed in the past 2 weeks. He's become distant and snappy. He's always on his phone, but turns it away when I'm nearby. He's started going to gym sessions at odd hours and gets defensive when I ask about his day. Last night, he didn't come home until 3 a.m. When I asked where he was, he said he was at Chris's house playing video games and that I need to stop questioning his every move. Linda called me yesterday out of concern. She said Jacob has been acting strange lately, missing their weekly family dinners and making excuses when she tries to meet him. She mentioned that Jacob's car has been spotted outside Sarah's apartment building several times late at night. She's worried he's repeating his past mistakes but doesn't want to interfere too much. Looking back, there were so many red flags I ignored. Sarah was always more than just a friend to Jacob. He would drop everything if she needed help, like that time he left our anniversary dinner early because Sarah called saying she had a flat tire. Or how he spent hours texting her during our vacation in March, claiming she was going through a rough time and needed support. Chris's girlfriend Megan reached out to me today. She said she couldn't keep quiet anymore. Apparently, at the group dinner 2 weeks ago, Jacob and Sarah were extremely flirty. They kept whispering to each other and disappeared for about 20 minutes. When they came back, Sarah's lipstick was smudged and Jacob's shirt was wrinkled. Megan said Chris told her to mind her own business, but she felt I deserved to know. Jacob's sister Jenny also messaged me. She said she saw Jacob and Sarah at a restaurant last week, holding hands under the table. When she confronted Jacob about it, he begged her not to tell me and said it wasn't what it looked like. I feel like I'm going crazy. Every time I bring up these incidents, Jacob has an explanation ready. The lunch was just catching up. The late nights are work stress. The phone behavior is because he's planning a surprise for me. The restaurant incident was Sarah being emotional about a breakup. Amy thinks I should check his phone while he's sleeping, but that feels wrong. Rachel says I need to stop being naive and see what's clearly happening in front of me. Linda keeps apologizing, saying she thought Jacob had grown up but clearly hadn't. This morning, I found a receipt in Jacob's jacket for 2 movie tickets from last night, when he was supposedly at Chris's house. When I asked him about it, he grabbed the receipt, crumpled it up, and said I was invading his privacy by going through his things. He stormed out and hasn't come back yet. I've lost weight, I can't sleep, and my work is suffering. My boss pulled me aside today to ask if everything was okay because my designs haven't been up to my usual standard. I broke down crying in her office. I don't know what to do anymore. Part of me wants to believe Jacob's excuses because the alternative hurts too much. But I can't ignore the mounting evidence. Every day brings a new revelation, a new lie, a new excuse. Should I confront him with everything I know? Should I just walk away? I feel stuck in limbo, waiting for the other shoe to drop while watching the man I love slowly become a stranger. Update 2: I was right about everything. 2 days ago, I discovered the truth in the worst possible way. Jacob left his laptop open while he went to shower, and a message from Sarah popped up. I know I shouldn't have looked, but after everything that's happened, I couldn't help myself. What I found destroyed me. There were hundreds of messages between them going back months, even before we started dating. They'd been sleeping together for the past 3 weeks, meeting at Sarah's apartment during his supposed gym sessions and work late nights. The messages revealed everything. That night at the party in February wasn't a drunk mistake at all. They had been flirting for weeks before that. Jacob only confessed because Sarah's roommate Kate had walked in on them and threatened to tell me if Jacob didn't come clean himself. But here's the twist that made me physically sick: Sarah has a boyfriend. His name is Tom, and they've been together for 2 years. Both Jacob and Sarah have been lying to both of us this entire time. In their messages, they actually joked about how naive Tom and I were for believing their excuses. I spent hours reading through their conversations. They talked about having feelings for each other since college but never acting on it because one of them was always in a relationship. They planned their meetups carefully, making sure to have alibis. Jacob even saved Sarah's number under a fake male colleague's name. The most painful messages were from the past month, after Jacob started reconnecting with the friend group. They laughed about their secret lunches and how I was paranoid for suspecting something. There were intimate photos, plans for future meetups, and discussions about how to keep throwing Tom and me off their trail. I took screenshots of everything and sent them to Tom. He called me immediately, and we met at a coffee shop. Turns out he had suspicions too, but Sarah had convinced him he was being insecure. We compared stories and realized how many lies we'd both been fed. The beach trip I mentioned? Tom thought Sarah went with her female friends. The late-night work sessions? Sarah told Tom she was helping her sister move. When Jacob got out of the shower, I confronted him with the messages. For once, he didn't have an excuse ready. He broke down and admitted everything. He said he tried to fight his feelings for Sarah but couldn't. When I asked why he didn't just break up with me instead of cheating, he said he didn't want to hurt me. The irony of that statement still makes me laugh bitterly. Linda found out through Jenny, who I called for support. She came over immediately and was horrified when I showed her the messages. She revealed something that broke my heart even more. Jacob had done something similar to his ex-girlfriend Taylor 2 years ago. Linda thought he had learned his lesson and changed, but clearly hadn't. The friend group has imploded. Chris and Megan are fighting because Chris knew about the affair and kept it secret. Mike and his girlfriend have cut ties with both Jacob and Sarah. Kate, Sarah's roommate, finally came forward with everything she knew, including details about meetups she'd witnessed. Tom confronted Sarah last night. According to Kate, Sarah tried to blame everything on Jacob, claiming he pursued her and she was confused. When that didn't work, she accused Tom of being emotionally unavailable, which apparently drove her to Jacob. Tom didn't buy any of it. Jacob has been calling and texting nonstop since I confronted him. His messages swing between begging for forgiveness and blaming me for driving him away with my paranoia. He even had the nerve to say that if I had been more understanding about him wanting to be friends with Sarah again, maybe this wouldn't have happened. I haven't responded to any of his messages. I'm staying at Amy's place while I figure out my next steps. Linda offered to help me move my things out of Jacob's apartment, and Rachel is driving down this weekend to help too. I feel like such a fool for not trusting my gut earlier. All the signs were there: the late nights, the secret meetings, the defensive behavior, the hidden messages. I just didn't want to believe the man I loved could be so cruel. Update 3: I finally moved out of Jacob's apartment completely. The last few weeks have been a roller coaster of emotions, but I'm starting to feel like myself again. After discovering the affair, I spent a week at Amy's place before finding my own apartment. It's a small studio, but it's all mine and Jacob has no idea where it is. I got a new phone number too because Jacob wouldn't stop calling from different numbers after I blocked him. Tom and I have actually become friends through this whole mess. We meet for coffee every week to support each other through the aftermath of Jacob and Sarah's betrayal. He told me Sarah has been trying to contact him constantly, sending long emails about how Jacob manipulated her and how she wants to fix things. He hasn't responded to any of them. The most surprising development? Jacob and Sarah are officially together now. They went public on social media just 2 weeks after everything blew up. They're posting about their perfect relationship and how sometimes the timing isn't right but love finds a way. It's honestly laughable how they're trying to romanticize their affair. Linda still checks in on me regularly. She's become like a second mom through all this. Last week, she told me Jacob is already showing his true colors with Sarah. Apparently, he was seen at a bar getting cozy with one of his new co-workers while Sarah was out of town. Linda said she's done trying to help him change. She's realized he needs to face consequences for his actions. The friend group has completely fractured. Chris and Megan broke up because she couldn't forgive him for covering up the affair. Mike and his girlfriend have started hanging out with Tom and me instead. Kate moved out of Sarah's apartment and told us she's been documenting their affair for months, disgusted by their behavior. Work has been my saving grace through all this. I threw myself into new projects and even got a promotion last week. My boss was incredibly understanding about everything and gave me flexible hours while I was dealing with the move. I've had moments of weakness where I wanted to check Jacob's social media or drive by his apartment, but I've stayed strong. Amy changed all my passwords and installed a blocker on my phone to prevent me from looking them up. The hardest part was getting rid of everything that reminded me of Jacob. I donated all the gifts he gave me, deleted our photos, and even sold the bracelet he got me for Christmas. It hurt, but it was necessary for moving forward. Yesterday, Jacob's sister Jenny told me he's been asking about me, wondering if I'm seeing anyone new. She shut him down immediately and told him he lost all right to know anything about my life. It felt good knowing his family is on my side. I know this is my last update because I'm finally ready to close this chapter of my life. Tom and I are planning a trip next month, just as friends, to help us both get away from all the drama. I've started painting again, something I gave up when I started dating Jacob, and it feels amazing to rediscover myself. To everyone who supported me through this journey, thank you. Your advice and kind words helped me find the strength to walk away. And to those going through something similar, trust your gut. The red flags are there for a reason. I'm not completely healed, but I'm getting there. And that's enough for now.